Hello, you're watching Everard Junction, and today is another layout update. Now I've done a couple of things, and I think I've done enough to show you. There's a fairly significant thing that I've done, although it's going to be difficult to show you on camera, and there's a couple of other little bits and pieces that I've been working my way through. The first thing I've done just recently is I've actually cleaned all the track. It got very hot up here, and I didn't come up here for a while because I was out and enjoying the sun, but I've just finished literally cleaning all the track today and just having a nice good running session, get everything working properly, make sure there aren't any issues or any problems that have arisen due to the heat. We've got a variety of stock running at the moment. We've got 3 freights and 2 DMUs running. There's one of them just there. It's one of the Class 108s. It's just on a regional service, local service. Here's my re-weathered Hornby 56 with the repainted red stripe. Looks much better. Got a nice steel train made up for that one. It's quite a mixture of stock. We've got the BAA steel coil carriers, and then there's an OBA wagon in the middle just there. And we've got a telescopic steel hood wagon and a couple of bolsters. A nice varied train. And then coming the other way, I've got the repainted 56 from the last video, 56047. Really liking that one. It's a nice addition to the fleet. It's the first time it's actually been run properly. Usually, well, not usually, but before, when I had it in the previous configuration, I didn't really run it. So it's nice to see it on the layout. I'm still using Goo Gone to clean the track. This arrived today. I'd run out of this, so I hadn't been able to clean the track for a while. But I do stand by Goo Gone. I've been using it for almost 5 years now. It's never let me down. It does a really nice job. I experimented briefly just because it was cheap, and I was ordering some stuff from Hatton's anyway. You can buy this track cleaning fluid by Woodland Scenic, which is designed to sort of be applied using pads and things like that. It's not really designed to go in track cleaning wagons, but I thought, hey, I'll give it a go. It wasn't very expensive, but it wasn't great. It didn't do a particularly good job of cleaning the track. As I say, I think it's more for sort of maintenance and application through pads and cotton buds and things like that. It didn't really shift much of the dirt off the track, and I had horrendously jerky running along this main line here. It showed just how dirty it actually was. Then literally I got some Goo Gone. I ran the CMX round the layout 2 or 3 times. By the time it had done its 3rd lap, everything was running nice and smoothly, and it still is. I'm still waiting for the blue-grey Bachmann Class 101 to come out. It's not hit the shops yet. All the other liveries have. It's just my luck. All the other liveries are available. You can go and buy them now, but the one I want is still not in the shops. So I'm being patient, waiting for that. Hopefully I'll get it this month. That's when the shop says that it's expected to arrive. So hopefully I can pick that up in the near future, and I'll probably do a review on it actually, because I've never actually done a decent review of a DMU. I did one of the 105 quite a while back, and that's a really old video now. The review of the Sentinel that I did seemed to go down pretty well, so I'll do a review of the 101. It's quite a significant model, so look out for that. Anyway, on to layout progress. I spent the best part of the weekend, pretty much all of Sunday, sorting out this baseboard. There are a couple of issues with it, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to tell on camera. You might be able to tell, but anyway, I'll go through what I did, because it took up a lot of my time, and it's a significant improvement, certainly to me. What had happened was there were 2 distinct bows in the baseboard. It had warped basically in 2 places. It had warped here in the downwards direction, so there was a dip in the track. And then if we move along here, basically there's some legs here, so this was fine. And then there was another bow in the track just here. Again, there's legs at that end. So it had warped here where there weren't any legs, and it had warped here where there weren't any legs. Now, this particular board Don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the humidity, the temperature. It had been like it for a while, but I just noticed that it was getting worse, and I thought, got to do something about it. So finally at the weekend I figured, yeah, it's cool enough, I'll tackle it. It's not a particularly difficult job. The problem is access. I had to get behind the baseboard. As you can see, there's not really a clear way of getting there. What you have to do is you have to go into the helix. You have to then crawl under the helix and go to the deep, dark, mysterious back end of the house, and then crawl behind this back scene, remove the back scene. So that basically this here is hardboard, and it's screwed to the top baseboard and the lower baseboard. Unscrew it, lower it down, and then I can then peer over the edge and examine the severity of the warping, and I can also check that what I'm doing to correct it is actually working. Very dark, dirty, nasty job. There's a lot of spiders around there, so if you don't like spiders, it's not a job I would recommend. Anyway, I believe I've now sorted it. Basically, I put some additional bracing here, and I put some additional bracing here, and everything is nice and level. It was most noticeable around here where this AWS hut, sort of electrical hut thing is. This was all level coming along, and then when we got to here, the baseboard drooped down, and it was really noticeable because there was a hump just there. And whenever I had the camera down for a nice shot of the train passing, so for example if we bring the camera down, let's say I had the camera here, you would see the train bobbing over the bump. If you look back through some of my previous videos, you may be able to pick it up. When I filmed those videos, I was careful that it wasn't too noticeable, and I filmed from a particular angle where you couldn't quite tell, because there's one thing that bugs me more than anything, it's watching a train bob up and down as it goes down the line. I know it's prototypical and the real thing does do it, but in miniature it's really difficult to sort of replicate that, because even a millimetre of travel is going to make a huge difference. So I try and keep things as flat as possible. Now you can see there, it's nice and level. It's made a nice difference. Again, it's an issue that really bugs me, so I took the time to fix it. Whenever I'm building a layout, the running of the trains is the #1 priority. The trains have got to run flat, smooth, straight, and as level as possible in a realistic way. The more realistic the trains can run, the better the layout will look when it's in operation. To get a better idea, I'm going to attempt to get over there and show you the length of this track from track level as the eye would see it. Basically what I would do is I would make an adjustment here. I would then go to this end and peer through the tunnel, and that would give me an idea of how level the track was. It's amazing when you look down a dead straight piece of track, you can see all the undulations and ups and downs in it. It's a good way of making sure things are level. So I will attempt to get the camera over there. You can have a behind the scenes look. Here's the back of the tunnel. I'm just in the middle of the helix now. It's just occurred to me that if there's a derailment, I could be in serious trouble, because I'm not actually going to be able to get to the controller. So fingers crossed that everything behaves itself. So here we are. This is behind that section. You can see it's not particularly pleasant down here. I'm rather cramped for space. But basically I was just working this baseboard along here. You can see here just how far you can see, and you can see things are pretty level now. It was very extreme beforehand, lots of bumps and ups and downs. There's still a gentle rise, but I'll put up with that, that's okay. Bearing in mind we're looking down, you know, sort of 10-12 feet of baseboard, so any changes are going to really be amplified. View of the 56 making its way down. This part of the helix is very, very level. It gradually gets more and more severe as we come up. Comes the 108. We'll follow that down the track. Again, you can see how level things are. It's a lot better. Okay, moving on. I'm going to just go through another thing that I'm going to be doing over here. Now, one of the things I also did while I was around there was reposition the back seam, just so it was a little bit more level. So you can see some marks where there's some scenery where it shouldn't be. Don't worry about that, I'll get rid of that. That's not too much of an issue. Something I'm going to be doing is adding some more bushes and foliage over on this side, on this particular hillside. I'm going to do that for a number of reasons. The first reason I'm going to do it is I want to try and get a little bit more sort of scenery in the background. I want to try and get a little bit more of a back scene. But I want something that's 3D. I don't want to just sort of print some sort of foliage there, because it's never going to match what I've got in the foreground. What I've seen is lots of pictures of railway embankments where the foliage is really quite extreme. You get a lot of trees and bushes growing up the side here. And I've seen it represented on a couple of layouts, and I think it looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is build the effect up, maybe to sort of this level, at varying heights with different colours and different materials, different trees, and get something that sort of looks like a big railway embankment that you'd see in sort of rural southern England, where the line has been cut through the terrain, and then on the resulting embankments you've got a lot of growth for trees, bushes, things like that. Now, I've bought a couple of things to achieve that effect. This is a Woodland Scenic's forest canopy kit, and it's a really cheap way of creating lots of dense shrubbery, as you can see by the illustration on the front of the box. It's a really good way of creating that sort of dense built-up shrubbery along the terrain. I've already used it in the past. I've got a couple of examples of it over here. So this area is basically made up of 4 Woodland Scenic's trees. There's one here, one there, and another one just over the back. And then the forest canopy kit are these branches here with a top to them that you can use to glue foliage to. There's another example down there, a few other pieces around the place. All you can do is use it to infill gaps between trees and bridge foliage, but it also does a really good job of making bushes, small trees, things like that. So that'll be added along here in various places, but not the whole way, just a couple of places. Then to complement that, I've got some Woodland Scenic's fine leaf foliage. This is really good stuff. Fine leaf foliage is this. So it's basically green foliage with very small branches in it that you can use to add detail to your trees. You can also use it as small bushes and things. There's an example over there of some fine leaf foliage. So I'll be putting it along the edge as well, building up the effect. Should get something that ends up quite good. And then to complement that even further, I've got a load of clump foliage, and I've also got another pot in a different colour. This will be the bulk of the effect, and then it will be supplemented by bits of this and some of the forest canopy stuff to add extra layers of detail. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I think it'll come out quite well. I will do a video on it. I'll be one of my speeded up jobbies, so I'll pop the camera somewhere useful and then just build the effect up along the edge. Be adding some flowers and foliage in there as well. This is a mixed coloured bag that I also picked up at the same time, and it's a sort of early autumn colour, which is what I'm trying to recreate. The layout's supposed to be set in sort of late summer, beginning of autumn, so I think that'll have a nice effect, and it'd be good to get some plants and some colour over there as well. Okay, moving on from there, you can see that I've created a hillside here for a small embankment that joins this section to the section over here. I think that's going to look quite good. That's going to tie in with the scene down here. Now this was originally the motorway, or it was planned to be the motorway. I never really did much with it, didn't get very far other than getting your typical motorway style embankments going in and the road surface. Other than that, I didn't really get much further. The reason for that is I didn't see it working. I didn't see it complementing the the area. I thought it was too big, and it was too much of a dramatic transition from this somewhat rural scene with these allotments, just going suddenly into a really busy road. I know that happens in real life, but the scene I've got here with the railway line as well, there's just something about it that I didn't like. So I'm going to be changing it. What I'm going to be doing instead is, this will still be a lowered section, but I'm going to change the motorway to a river. Now, the reason for that is the river is a more natural scene, and I think it will better tie the two boards together. I thought this was too much of a divide, too much of a break. Something that's nice about this section of the layout is it's really long and continuous, and the motorway, I think, detracted from that. I want the scene to flow. So by having a nice natural river scene in here, I think that will benefit and give me the effect I'm looking for. So I will be making some bridge supports. We're going to have some big concrete lintels coming out, which are supported by a brick wall, brick structure. So they'll probably come to, I don't know, maybe here. Same on the other side. That'll give me a nice effect for the bridge. I'll also weather the bridge. At the moment it's just grey primer. Once I've done that, I will be using some plaster bandage, some roll-up newspaper, very much like the method that I used over here, to create a sort of embankments on both sides, and then I'll be having the river in the centre. The river's not going to be perfectly straight, but it's going to be a decent width, maybe as wide as this bag of foliage, let's say, for example. I might make it a bit wider than that, but it'll have some curves to it and it won't be completely straight, but at the same time it'll be gentle as well. I don't want anything too sharp or angular going on, and I think that will complement quite nicely, because we'll have the green natural scene down here, I'll have the green natural scene up here, the railway goes over the top, we've got the embankment back there tying the two embankments together. I think that'll really complement the scene, and when we're looking at it from a distance, particularly down this end, you're going to be able to see the whole thing sort of link up. So that's the idea. Also gives me a chance to play with the Woodland Scenic's realistic water. I've seen it used on a couple of layouts, and I think it looks really good. Somewhere I got the inspiration from this was Graham at Lakeside. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. He's got a really nice layout, and something he's got is a nice lake with a bridge going over it, and he's used the Woodland Scenic's water, various other products and different effects and materials to get a really nice natural looking area. Now I want to try and take the inspiration from that, and rather than create a lake, I want to try and create a river. So it should be an interesting project. I'll film the process. I'll do one of my mini series on doing that. It's not something I've done before. I've never made a river. I had the beginnings of a small river over on that corner way back in 2010, when the layout was a lot smaller than it currently is. But I never got much further than simply putting down the base layer. I certainly never added any water to it. So I'm looking forward to this project. That'll be something I'm going to be doing over the coming autumn. And then moving on from here, we'll have the hillside, which I need to add further detail to. I know it's just grass at the moment, needs clump foliage, all the usual stuff, and I'll be doing the same sort of bushes that I talked about over here. So that'll be continuous. That'll go all the way down here. That'll then go up into the town. Well, I call it a town. It's going to be a sort of suburb area, so more rural development. Again, to tie the sort of rural area together. So we start off with the edge of a town, we then come along and it becomes, it's not quite there yet, but we're getting more into the countryside. There's a nice river, then we've got the allotments, and then it just breaks into complete sort of countryside. So that's the idea. I'm trying to get the thing to flow together. It should look quite nice if it all works out anyway. I'll be working on the town scene at the same time. I need to work out what sort of profile I want over here. I'm not sure if I want it to be flat. I'd like it to be on a gradient, so I'm going to need to use some ideas there, and probably do it in hardboard, not entirely sure yet. But again, the idea is, again, it's sort of busier over here, there's more houses, then it thins out, maybe a bit of waste ground here, goes into the country scene, goes into the river, goes into the allotments, and then goes into the countryside. So I think that will work quite nicely. fingers crossed anyway. I'm going to try and work on all this at the same time, so I'll do a little bit over here, and then I'll do another bit on the river, and then I might go back over here again. I don't want to try and burn myself out on one particular area. Something I've learned certainly is if you commit yourself to working in a very small area of the layout and keep pushing yourself to keep going and going and going and going, you find that you either run out of ideas, you run out of inspiration, you become frustrated with it, you might rush things. There's really no need to do that. You know, this is a hobby after all, it's something you're supposed to enjoy. So I want to try and split myself up between the different projects. I don't want to become too isolated into a given scene. That's something I did over here. You know, I originally made the road quite some time ago and did all the fencing, and then I left it until I was confident that I was going to come back and do something that I was happy with. And again, I've left it for the moment. There are areas I'd like to work on in here, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it. I'm happy with it. When I've got some more inspiration, some more ideas and some drive and energy to come back and work on this area some more, I will do. And this is probably the final bit. With any luck, I should have some more of these retaining walls. Now, they're out of stock at the moment, so I don't know when the shop's going to get hold of them. I've ordered them from International Models. I'm waiting for them to come back into stock, and when they get some, they're going to ship some to me. I've ordered just enough to complete the wall, go all the way to the town scene. I've also ordered a back scene to go with it. Now, I won't go into too much detail about what the back scene looks like, how it's going to work, because to be honest, you know, I've only seen a picture of it on the internet and I think it's going to work, but I won't know for sure until I put it on the layout and see how things go. But the idea is, again, we're talking about flow. I'm trying to get things to flow nicely. We've got urban town scene, and then we've got retaining walls, and we've got an urban sort of look that gradually thins out, although the retaining wall stays with us, thins out, and we come into the suburbs of the town. Retaining wall starts to tail off, then the suburbs tail off. We go into the hillside, and then into all the other things that I've already discussed. The idea being that from there all the way around to the helix, we're going to have a flowing scene. It's going to sort of work with each other. Each scene will complement the next. But again, that's the idea, and it's going to take me ages, so don't expect this all to be done by Christmas. So there you go, that's pretty much everything, and I'll leave you with some closing shots of the trains passing over the newly levelled Scenic section, and I hopefully will be back at the end of the month with some more progress for you.